Hey everybody, Brandon Cobb with HPG Capital here. Thanks for tuning in. And in today's episode, I want to go over some of the common myths about investing in single-family rentals and how they compare to commercial assets. If you're somebody who's looking for passive income, true passive income that's completely hands-off, you're going to want to listen up here. But before we jump in, I want to turn this one-way conversation into a two-way conversation. If you're interested in learning more about how you can receive passive income backed by recession-resistant assets, go to hpgcapital.net, send us an email, reach out. We'd love to set up an introductory call and explore more about what your goals are and how we might be able to help. All right, so there are 5 things that a lot of people don't realize about single-family residential rentals. And this is probably the most popular asset class that people think they're going to retire on. I think we all know that like old couple who's like 70 years old and they're still like managing that, small little rental of 15, 20 rental properties, and they're just getting too old and they just can't take care of it anymore, right? They've been doing it for 40 some odd years, and that seems to be the golden play here. Like a lot of people think like, oh, I'll invest in rentals, I'll have rental income, everybody needs housing, it's great. It's not necessarily true. The number one thing that they don't tell you about single-family residential rentals is there's not a ton of cash flow. And the reason there's not a ton of cash flow is because a lot of the expenses are hidden. Most people are looking at single-family residential properties and they're going, oh, the rent's $1,800 a month and the mortgage is $1,200. I can make $600 a month. When in reality, you have all these unforeseen expenses that kick in. Usually you want to divert about 5% of the total rent to ongoing maintenance. So literally take 5% of the rent out every single month, throw it in an account. You want to take at least 7-8% out for capital expenditures. This is like the big HVAC roof repairs that come, once every 20, 25 years. You want to make sure you're diverting money into when you sell the asset and when you're paying capital gains on it. And you also want to make sure that you're taking out any kind of trash, utility fees, and if you're going to hire a property management company, you might as well take out 10 to 15% as well. Now, once you take out all those fees, realistically, most single-family rentals don't cash flow more than $100 or $200 a month. A really good one might cash flow $500, $600 a month. And you're going to have to really, really build up those reserves for when something, big happens. If you get a flood or just, the plumbing goes out and, you get like a whole wash, right? You're not going to have rent coming in when you get that flood that happens, or that pipe that bursts when the tenant's out of town or whatever. And then pretty much all your profits for like the whole year are wiped out. They don't tell you that single family renters don't cash flow a whole lot. Well, in the commercial world, they do. It's not uncommon. There's a ton of deals out there that return double-digit returns on people's investment annually. And it's crazy when you compare those and stack those side by side with rentals. You look at the cash flow you get per month, and it's just crazy. It's so much better. Now, when should or should not invest in commercial versus residential rentals? If you're younger and you're looking for like a long-term play and you want to play that appreciation, you're going to hold that asset for a while, it might be good to do the residential play because you're going to get a lot of appreciation out of it. But if you're in a position where you need to adjust your risk tolerance and you want to smoothen out the ride for the remainder of your time on this planet, then true passive income with commercial might be a better fit for you because, one, it's truly passive, and 2, you don't have to worry about the cyclical and you're not selling it. It's truly passive, and you get really, really you get better returns for the cash flow on it than you do with the single-family residential market. All right, second thing is single-family rentals are not really truly passive, and I think this is the biggest myth that people don't understand. Even if you hire a property management company, you're not necessarily going to be completely hands-off. They're going to be calling you when stuff's going wrong. You're going to have bills to pay. You might have to find some contractors when you get that huge invoice from your property management company. And they charge you so much that some people just want to do it themselves. And so if you like to go that route, because again, the game is cash flow and taking care of your monthly expenses so you can live free of any just live financially free. That's going to be a problem because you're going to have to still do work. It's not truly passive. Truly passive means you invest in it, you forget about it, and it's done. And that's the biggest advantage with a lot of these commercial assets like storage facilities, multifamily, assisted living facilities. Not only do they have they're very, very recession resistant. In other words, they do really well during recessions, but they also are truly passive, meaning you invest with a sponsor and a property management company, they do the rest. You're not answering phone calls in the middle of the night to go fix something. So that's something that they don't tell you when you're looking to invest in rentals. Now, the third thing is these humongozoid unforeseen capital expenditures. And we touched on this a little bit, but they don't tell you that in the single family world. Unless you're buying a brand new house, you're going to have surprises. The HVAC is going to go out. The plumbing needs to be updated from old cast iron to PEX PVC. All your old brass electrical wires got to be upgraded. Like, these are some really big ticket items that pretty much completely can wipe out your cash flow for 1 to 3 to 5 years, depending on what has happened in that house. So just keep that in mind. If you're investing in single family rentals for the cash flow, these big capital expenditures can completely wipe out years worth of cash flow for you. Now, another big issue with single family rentals is they're very binary. So you either have a renter in there or you don't. It's either at 0% occupancy or it's at 100% occupancy. And there's not a whole lot you can do about that aside from try to filter the renters as best as you can. That's a huge problem if you're planning on having income to take care of you for the remainder of your years on this planet and you want something that's stable. 0 and 100%, that's not very stable. Whereas with a lot of commercial assets that have hundreds of units, it's almost impossible for it to go to 0. Unless you get some kind of huge weather event, and even so, it's only temporarily until they fix the building and insurance kicks in, right? Those are very, very rare events. They do happen, but most of the time, you don't have to worry about that asset not cash flowing because you have hundreds and hundreds of units to fill. Another thing they don't tell you, and I think this is the final thing, this is the fifth item about single-family residential, is the competition is fierce. You're trying to go after homes that people might want to live in. And if they want to live in this asset, they're going to pay retail price. And if you're going to get a cash flowing rental, you need to get the mortgage down as low as possible. And you need to be able to refinance all your money out after you fix it up or whatever you're going to do to it. And if you're paying retail, you're going to have tens of thousands of dollars stuck in that asset. There's no way for you to get your money back out. So it's extremely hard to find these really, really good deals. Most of the time, you have to go off market. You're not going to find a good rental through an agent or the MLS, especially nowadays when the market's so stinking hot. But that's something to keep in mind, is it's very, very rare to find those really, really good deals nowadays, especially when the market's really, really hot. Whereas in the commercial world, because these are much larger deals, the pool of players is a lot less. There's a lot of people doing this. There's a lot more deals to go around. So it's a lot easier to find deals, deep equity deals that make sense and can really provide you a return. And not only that, but insulate your investment. Anyway, so those are the 5 things that you should know before investing in a rental property and the pros and cons of those versus commercial. Again, head on over to hvgcapital.net and we'll see you there.